Now at 9, Carthage school officials discuss plans for a new baseball stadium. Plus, we're going to hear from a Carthage School District official about a multi-million-dollar stadium plan. And
the 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A big turnaround for the Carthage City Council today. It's decided to reinstate the members of the Carthage Water and Electric Board. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dow Quick. This afternoon's announcement comes in the wake of this contentious council meeting on Tuesday. The council had decided earlier this month to remove the appointed members of the board, saying board members were not fulfilling their duties. More than 250 people showed up for this week's council meeting, many voicing support for the board members. However, the council declined to consider reinstating them. Now, a news release attributed both to the City of Carthage and the CWEP board this afternoon says, in part, quote, "At the suggestion of the mayor, representatives of the city and the CWEP board have met. As a result, the parties have resolved their differences. There were some miscommunications, which obviously got out of hand." It goes on to say, quote, "To be clear, both sides thought they were acting properly, but it is now clear that there was no violation of any ordinance by anyone." The release says the issue will be addressed at another open meeting. The Carthage School District says the $2.5 million grant announced yesterday will go a long way toward building a new baseball stadium, but there will still be work to do. Kent and Mary Steadley Memorial Trust announced a pledge of $2.5 million to the school district. This development comes as a silver lining following the loss of the historic Carl Lewis Stadium, which was deemed unsafe earlier this year. Mark Baker, the outgoing superintendent, says he hopes the community will pitch in to help complete the $4 million stadium project.
It's going to be a great opportunity for us to be on campus, for kids to come to the ball games. It's going to be something to be used by our community, travel teams. When you have an all-turf field, there's a lot of uses for it.
Baker says the baseball stadium will be on the northeast corner of the high school campus. A hot day to wrap up the work week. Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy.
Yeah, we actually tied a record high once again for us today. High temp right at 100 degrees, which we also hit back in 2011. Average high is 89 degrees. Thankfully, we're going to cool down just a little bit as we go into the weekend. Not a whole bunch going on outside right here. We may get a couple isolated little thunderstorms over the next couple hours in southwestern Missouri, but most of us are going to be dry. All the actions to our north, out to our west, but this wave is going to head toward us, so this will give us some scattered thunderstorms across the region as we go into Saturday. Still warm. Look at this, upper 80s right now. We still have a heat index. It makes it feel a little bit hotter into lower 90s. Still feels like 100 at Grand Lake. As we go through the overnight hours, we'll drop back into the 70s, but some thunderstorms develop during the morning hours. We're going to have more details on that here in just a bit.
See you soon. An early morning fire destroyed a home in Carl Junction. Firefighters from CJ, Webb City, and Joplin responded to that fire around 5:30 this morning at 110 Birch Street in Carl Junction. Officials said the flames were coming through the roof at the rear of the home. Firefighters did not find anyone inside that home. A jury today found a Pittsburgh woman guilty for her role in the assault and arson that killed her father, 68-year-old David Crowder. Authorities say Tiffany Lukasevich of Pittsburgh and her twin sister Elizabeth Baez from Joplin arranged for people to assault Crowder, Crowder's wife, and another woman before setting their home on fire in Joplin. Crowder's wife and the other woman survived. Crowder did not. Today, Lukasevich was found guilty of second-degree murder, first-degree arson, and first-degree domestic assault. The U.S. Supreme Court is striking down President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. Justices blocked the administration's efforts to deliver up to $20,000 in loan relief to millions of borrowers struggling with debt. The decision was 6-3, with Chief Justice John Roberts writing for the conservative supermajority. Roberts says the Biden administration would need congressional approval to execute such a move. The Supreme Court ruling means many students and graduates are forced to make arrangements to repay their loans. KOAM reporter Jasmine Knight spoke with some Missouri Southern students and parents to get their reactions.
Today, the U.S. Supreme Court blocked President Biden's student loan relief plan. This plan would have allowed those eligible to cancel up to $20,000 in loan debt. With millions of students currently in college and even more college graduates, student loan debt is pretty common in America. Today, students expressed their thoughts on the matter.
You're betting on somebody else to pay for something that you got. I don't think that's fair to ask because they're not the ones that got your degree. They really don't benefit anything from it, and it just raises inflation and going to raise taxes too because who's going to pay for it? Taxpayers.
Braxton Melton from Missouri State says he's still on the fence about the forgiveness plan. He believes that it would be better if it took a different approach.
I would feel that a lot of people would be impacted by this, not just because they're in low-income situations, but also just if this is complete loan forgiveness for a wide range of situations, then there would be an impact that couldn't be understated.
Local parent Eric Gristle also shared his thoughts. He currently has a college graduate, one in college, and one about to go to college. For him and his family, they found it easiest just to save money.
Families just like to plan better, and sometimes you have to sacrifice the current for the future if you value college.
So what does this mean? For current students and recent graduates, this means that they will now have to be asking the question, how will I repay my loan payments back? Reporting in Joplin, Jasmine Knight, KOAM News.
Currently, student loan payments are set to resume September 1st. The Supreme Court justices issued another ruling today, this one about whether a Christian web designer from Colorado has a right to refuse to provide services for same-sex marriages based on constitutional free speech protections. The court sided with the web designer with the same 6-3 majority. It's a case that could upend state anti-discrimination laws. Coming up, how the use of social media is impacting young adults mentally and physically. There's a new drug to worry about out there. Data from the CDC shows a drug called xylazine appears to be getting much more popular. The agency reports it was present in nearly 11% of fentanyl overdose deaths in June of last year. 2.5 years earlier, it was found in only 3% of those cases. Sometimes referred to using the slang "trang," xylazine is a tranquilizer that's generally used for horses but has no approved use in humans. Opioid medications are one of the most typically prescribed treatments worldwide for treating lower back pain, but a new study has found they might not work. The study looked at 310 people who sought help for neck or lower back pain from primary clinics in hospitals in Sydney, Australia, between February of 2016 and March of 2022. The study found opioids weren't any more helpful than the placebo in their effects on back and neck pain. The opioid group had worse mental health scores. It's no secret that people 30 or 25 and under, or Gen Z, spend the most time on social media. And a recent study shows that a higher use of social media is associated with poorer well-being. Fox News multimedia reporter Mills Hayes shows us how some are trying to save young people from their smartphones.
You can check just how much time you spend on your phone per day by going to your settings. Mine says that I've spent about 3.5 hours per day on average, but I spoke with some Gen Zers who tell me they spend about triple the amount of time on their phones.
Embarrassingly, I spend probably like 6 hours average a day on my phone.
I would say 9 hours of the day.
And it's kind of like atrocious. Some days it's like 11 hours.
The McKinsey study shows 35% of young people around the world say they spend more than 2 hours a day on one thing.
Just a lot of social media, yeah.
Across generations, people report more positive than negative impacts of social media.
Connecting with different people that you probably, you'd never meet, in real life.
It can be kind of fun to just, just curate, yourself in a way that, is very, how you want it to be, which is kind of cool.
But 27% of Gen Z reports a negative impact, more than any other generation.
It impacts me socially. I'd be talking to someone and then immediately want to go on my phone at some point.
It's a trap. It's very easy to get caught up in it, and I have, especially looking at myself and comparing myself to other people. It's not fun.
The study found most of the negativity revolves around fear of missing out, body image, and self-confidence. In Minnesota, nonprofit Live More, Screen Less received state funding to work with teens and young adults on digital well-being.
I had a front row seat to seeing the changes that technology brought into the classroom in positive ways, but then also the role that it played in the mental health of my students.
We are not anti-tech. We are about how do you thrive in this digital age.
Live More Screen Less says that they hope to expand to all schools and after-school programs in Minnesota and maybe across the country one day. But they also say that the burden to help young adults and teens falls on parents, many whom gave their preteens smartphones without any kind of guidance on how to not get addicted to them. In Minneapolis, Mills Hayes, Fox News.
Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later in sports, Frontenac hosts wrestling coaches from Oklahoma State University for a camp for local kids.
Well, it turned out to be a very hot one once again today. Tied a record high of 100 degrees, but the evening has been pretty nice. We have some high-level cirrus clouds out there. Besides that, it looks pretty good for most of us over the next several hours, but we are going to get some rain chances in here as we go into the weekend. We do need it for the month. Of course, today's the last day of June. We ended up at 3.3 inches for the year, just shy of 16. But look at our departure. We're below by almost 8.5 inches of rain. So we will take it anytime we can get it. Temperatures right now still holding upper 80s across the region, and we still even have a little bit of a heat index because our humidity is kind of high. Dew point sitting kind of in the upper 60s to near 70, and that puts us in that sticky to muggy range across the region. So still even a little bit of a heat index. Feels like 92 in Neosho, 97 in Anderson, 90 in Chitopa, 95 in Nevada, but we look pretty good. Not a whole bunch is going on. We do have some clouds which are skirting through all the big time storms. Severe weather up to our north, Kansas City, stretching out across central and western parts of Kansas. And we are going to watch this batch as it works off toward the east. Most of these will stay to our north tonight, but as this wave starts to work in, this will most likely at least give us scattered thunderstorms by the time we head into Saturday morning. High pressure gave us all the heat, humidity breaking down just a bit with this wave, which is kicking out. So that means at least for a couple days, we're going to be a little bit cooler as we go into Saturday and Sunday, and then we start to go right back up early next week. All right, let's go through time. I'm going to stop 6 a.m. Scattered thunderstorms, Kansas, Oklahoma. This batch pushes through. So here's 10 a.m. Still some scattered thunderstorms out there. So if you are heading to any of the lakes tomorrow, you are going to be dodging some storms. As we get into the afternoon, still some scattered thunderstorms. These are mainly down toward Table Rock, also Beaver Lake. And then I think we look pretty good as we go into the evening hours, but on the back side of this system, we'll get some scattered thunderstorms that rotate through late tomorrow evening into the overnight hours. Very scattered, but they are going to be out there as we go through Saturday and Saturday night. Sunday in general looks good. Humidity is going to be quite a bit lower. We start into the upper 60s. Once we get into the afternoon, I think high temps right around 90 degrees, but the humidity is going to be much lower. The humidity is still going to be a little bit high tomorrow. Heat indices, again, mid to upper 90s to near 100 degrees by the time we head into Saturday afternoon. All right, high of 89 tomorrow, 91 on Sunday. Good chunk of people have a nice 4-day weekend. 96 on Monday, so we get hot again, pushing 100 on the 4th. Hit and miss storms on Monday and Tuesday, but a better shot for thunderstorms moving in on Wednesday.
I guess pushing 100 is better than pulling 100.
It's true.
We've been doing.
Very true.
Thanks, Doug. Coming up, travel trouble.
More flight disruptions threaten the July 4th holiday. I'm Casey Stiegel at DFW International Airport. What that means for thousands of passengers coming up next.
Despite airfares being 40 to 50% higher this summer, a record number of travelers are expected to pass through airports over the July 4th weekend. Thousands of airport passengers, though, are still seeing widespread delays and cancellations. Fox News senior correspondent Casey Stiegel has more.
I think we Typically it would take 20-30 minutes through the security line, but this time it took us an hour.
Travelers braved long lines and even longer waits at airports across the country on Friday for yet another day this week. Thousands of flights delayed or canceled.
This is chaos. This isn't organized chaos. This is just chaos.
To prepare for the busy July 4th weekend, airlines added reserve crews and deployed larger aircraft to create more seats. But on top of the usual holiday crowds, carriers are playing catch up after severe weather upended travel throughout the East Coast earlier this week. Some folks waiting days to get on new flights.
My flight had 40 people on standby and it was overbooked by 7 people on top of it. I had to sit in an exit row. That's the only reason they allowed me on the plane.
The travel turbulence won't end soon, with the Biden administration warning of a shortage of air traffic controllers that could cause delays in the coming months. And the pilots union at Southwest Airlines moved closer to a strike on Thursday when it asked to be released from federal mediation.
We just have to be prepared as travelers and Americans traveling, because we do want to travel again, but we have all these factors that we have to think about and be prepared to deal with.
Travel experts recommend arriving here at the airport this weekend about 3 to 4 hours prior to your flight's boarding time. That's the latest from DFW International Airport. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
And if you're driving anywhere this 4th of July weekend, listen up. AAA expects more than 50 million people are going to drive at least 50 miles for their vacation. They say the best time to drive is Saturday, anytime before 12 p.m., and on the 4th of July, anytime before 11 a.m. The worst times to drive, well, that would be 11 or 1 p.m. on Saturday, and on the 4th of July, they say 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. is the absolute worst time. Flying cars are closer to becoming a reality, it seems. The so-called world's first flying car received a legal approval to fly from the federal government. Aleph Aeronautics announced the Federal Aviation Administration gave a limited special airworthiness certification to its Model A flying car. The company says its car is 100% electric with a flying range of 110 miles. Flying car has a suggested retail price of nearly $300,000. Heinz responds to a popular debate about storing ketchup. That's next. Are you confused on where to store your ketchup? Well, Heinz is finally setting the record straight. The company took to social media saying the condiment should be stored in the fridge after opening it to keep it fresh. Some social media users disagree, though. They say the cupboard is where ketchup belongs. Heinz conducted a poll to see how fans really felt. The results, more than 50% agreed that with the company that ketchup, it goes in the fridge after you open it. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. It's the 5th Friday of the month, so Parsons, Kansas is celebrating. We're going to check out the festivities. Plus, the Wildcat Glades Friends Group gives people a chance to score a deal on household items as part of a fundraiser. According to veterinarians and dog specialists, more pets go missing around the 4th of July than any other time of year. They blame those loud fireworks, which can trigger fear and anxiety in dogs. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has that story.
Tay is only 4 years old, and every 4th of July is the same for her.
You know, whenever she hears the boom, she sort of like freezes and like looks around and then tries to run away like with her tail between her legs, and it's very sad.
Lindsay Stout, her honor, tries to comfort Tay when the fireworks scare her.
If we're home, we usually just, give her some pets, maybe some treats, help her, calm down. She doesn't know what the sounds are, and I'm not really sure how to tell her, that she's safe.
Dog experts recommend being proactive. If you know your dog gets anxious, crating them to avoid having them running away may be a good strategy.
Specialists also suggest having your dog wearing a tender shirt like this one. It applies a gentle pressure to the dog's torso, creating a calming feeling.
Your vet may also prescribe an anxiety medication to your pet. But an important warning, it's not advised to give human anxiety medication to your dog.
The dosages are very different, so you could actually overdose your pet and cause some unintentional harm.
While dogs are more likely to be scared of fireworks, cats can also show some signs of fear. Mom to 11 cats and a dog, Young knows how it feels.
The cats are just like crazy over me. They're kind of like, they want to be around me.
Cats, if they're bothered by it, they're gonna go hide and just detour from the situation.
In Joplin, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
Medeiros also recommends making sure your dog is microchipped and properly registered so if the pet does go missing, it can be identified when it's found. Today is the 5th Friday of the month, so folks in Parsons, Kansas decided to come out and have some fun. The Chamber of Commerce hosted the 5th Friday Festival downtown. Featured plenty of food, vendors, activities, and some live music.
The last one was smaller. We put it together a lot more quickly. So this one we had a lot more advance notice. We've had people signing up since March. We've been able to advertise more and just make sure that everybody needed what they wanted. They wanted more food trucks, so we added that. And of course, more vendors. So we're always happy to add vendors.
Parsons is going to host another 5th Friday event in September. A rummage sale today benefited a local organization. The Wildcat Glades Friends Group hosted this sale. People were able to donate items like books, kitchen supplies, tools, toys, and sports equipment to that sale. All of the proceeds will benefit the Friends Group's mission of preserving Wildcat Glades. One popular pastime over the 4th of July weekend is hitting the water with a boat. To make sure boaters stay safe, law enforcement and the U.S. Coast Guard is going to be out in force keeping watch. Fox's Kim Kuzon has more.
Devin York has grown up on the water.
Florida native, third generation Floridian.
While many Floridians will trailer their boats and head to the nearest boat launch for the 4th of July, you'll find Devin docked.
4th of July, I stay away from pretty much all other boats and just keep clear because you never know how they are as far as driving because most people have rentals and they are terrible at driving.
As captain of Hook One Fishing, he's seen a lot.
There's things that people will hit like pilings and bridges and even other boats and stuff, and you get 200, 300, 400, 500 boats out on the water this week and you'll see some stuff.
The Coast Guard reminds boaters make sure all safety gear is on board, including a fire extinguisher and life jackets for everyone, and for those at the helm, stay sober.
It's not just boats on the water that need to take precautions, it's also people at the beach and in pools.
It's really important to designate a water watcher and to make sure that you have someone who are watching your kids, your elderly, the folks who are in the water.
While lifeguards don't expect riptide conditions like those in the Panhandle, they say to know where you are swimming.
Once you get to the beaches, look for those lifeguard flags, look for those lifeguard towers. If we're flying anything other than a green flag, that's probably a good indicator that there is some sort of hazard in the water and that you should check and find out what that hazard is.
You don't have to overthink your plans, but take it from a Florida native.
Just be cautious, watch your surroundings, and just don't go crazy.
A bit later, a new way scientists are helping to save our oceans.
Well, a hot one today, tied a record high across the region, 100 degrees. We've been in that triple digits for the last 2 days and then made a run at it on a Wednesday as well. Pretty much clear skies. We do have some mid and upper level clouds, but in general, it looks pretty good. Nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. We do need the rain. We have chances this weekend, but for the month of June, we only ended up with 3.34 inches, which isn't bad, but it is a little bit behind. And of course, we've been behind really for about 13, 14 months now. Temperatures outside, we're sitting mainly into the mid to upper 80s. Still, we have some humidity, dew points upper 60s to near 70, so that makes us sit kind of in that sticky to muggy range, and that's what we're going to see as we go into tomorrow as well, but the actual temperatures are going to cool down a bit. Look at our heat indices right now. It feels like 90, 91, 92 degrees, of course. It is dark across the region. We look pretty good. We have thunderstorms to our north, also out to our west. Some severe weather up toward Kansas City along I-70, which stretches out across central Kansas, Salina, over toward Hayes. And you can see the showers and thunderstorms continue across the western half of Kansas and Oklahoma. This wave will start to affect us, giving us some rain chances by the time we go into the morning hours tomorrow. High pressure has been on top of us for several days, giving us the heat, the humidity, but this wave is going to break it down a bit for the next couple days, meaning we actually cool off just a little bit. All right, let's step through time. We're going to go through the overnight hours for you tonight. We back down into the upper 70s, but showers, thunderstorms pop up. Here's 6:30 in the morning. These are going to be scattered, but we're going to have a batch that drives through during the morning hours. Then as we get into the afternoon, most likely a second batch along and south of I-44. So they are going to be hit and miss, especially the middle of the day. As we get into tomorrow evening, a little bit calmer. Then we get on the back side of the system. So I do think we'll get some scattered showers that try to rotate through tomorrow night into early Sunday morning. But Sunday looks pretty good. The humidity is going to be lower. It's still going to be hot. We're going to go up to about 90 degrees, but at least better than what we have seen over the past couple days. Heat indices still kind of up there tomorrow. It's going to feel like upper 90s to near 100 degrees. The humidity will start to drop as we go into Sunday. So if we look at your weekend forecast, 89 Saturday, scattered thunderstorms, especially midday, 91 on Sunday overall, a pretty good day. And then if we jump into the rest of the holiday weekend, Monday, back into the upper 90s, some scattered thunderstorms, and that's what we're going to see on the 4th of July as well. They will be hit and miss, but the chances will be out there. 89 tomorrow, 91 Sunday, 96 on Monday, near 100 on the 4th of July. Pretty good chances for thunderstorms on Wednesday, and then we cool down a bit late next week.
I hope we get some of those thunderstorms.
We need a little bit of rain.
You bet. Thanks, Doug. The smoke from the Canadian wildfires continues to waft across North America as we head into the holiday weekend. Fox weather correspondent Katie Byrne has more from Philadelphia.
It just sits like this all day, and literally smoke just sits in the air.
The air quality is still a major issue in nearly 24 states as smoke from Canadian wildfires drifts south into the U.S. That smoke is expected to linger in portions of the Northeast and East Coast on Friday, with Washington, New York, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore all in the unhealthy category. Health officials are now urging folks to stay inside with air conditioning on, creating major problems for summer camps and outdoor childcare facilities.
A lot of risks are something we can manage or control by putting different measures in place. Air quality that is reliant on weather systems, not so much.
Residents in cities being hit the hardest are also reporting more health issues related to the smoke, including respiratory problems.
That's probably the biggest issue I've had, just trying to get a good deep breath of air, but the headache has been the biggest piece.
But there is some hope on the horizon. Forecasters say air quality is expected to improve over the weekend as a combination of high winds and thunderstorms roll in. Until then, health experts are warning young people, senior citizens, and anyone with underlying health issues to limit their time outdoors.
The more breaths you're taking, the harder those breaths, you're inhaling literally a fire camp smoke into your lungs.
Canadian officials say there are almost 500 wildfires burning across the country, and most have yet to be contained. In Philadelphia, Katie Byrne, Fox Weather.
Coming up in sports, Frontenac High School hosts a wrestling camp run by Oklahoma State Cowboys. Plus, a former Missouri Southern baseball standout begins his coaching career. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
Matt Miller just wrapped up an All-American season at Missouri Southern and a collegiate career where he ranks first all-time in RBIs and home runs. But now he's ready to move on to that next step, and that is coaching at McDonald County. Miller will be joining a McDonald County program whose varsity team reached the district championship this past season before getting knocked off by Webb City. Miller says this plan to transition from playing to coaching, it's been in the works for a while now.
My dad was a coach for my entire life, so I was always around that aspect of it. I love sports, and so this is a way for me to stay around or stick around and always be around it when I was done playing. So that was kind of the main thing that got me into wanting to be a coach. And McDonald County was able to do that and had what I wanted and needed for me, and so I'm super excited for it.
More Missouri coaching news. Kevin Berge is the new head coach at Carthage High School. The school announces this today. just one day after receiving a multi-million-dollar pledge to build a new baseball stadium. Berge was previously the head coach at McDonald County from 2018 until 2022. By taking this job, he's following in his father's footsteps, who coached the Tigers from 1982 to 1990 and then was inducted in the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame this year. In Frontenac today, over 150 kids ranging from kindergarten all the way up to high school get the opportunity to learn wrestling from the coaches and wrestlers at Oklahoma State. This 3-day camp was put on by Black Iron Wrestling, and it's actually the first year that Frontenac High School is hosting it. Previously, the camp was held at Chanute, but Frontenac girls wrestling head coach Andy Albright tells me it's been a successful couple of days.
Any wrestling camp's a success, in my opinion. There's a lot of hard work. You know, we have a good administration here that believed in having the camp here at Frontenac, so that was really beneficial. But the camp overall, kids are having fun. They're smiling, they're laughing. We don't have a lot of injuries at all, and kids are coming back each day, and they're learning, and they're wanting autographs, and it's just a great experience for all the kids.
This is my 10th year being up here. The first year over here at this new location, and that's amazing. That's first year here, and the turnout we've had, I think over 130 kids or around that number. And yeah, I see a lot of familiar faces. I think this is a little more of a newer group than in the past being over at Chanute, but definitely seeing some familiar faces.
And rounding things out, the Outlaws at home again tonight. Now, last night was one of their most impressive showings of the season, beating Jefferson City 15-4 and ending it early because of the league's mercy rule. Now, the Outlaws meet Jeff City for the second night in a row back at Joe Becker Stadium in Joplin again. Zach Shoemaker making the start on the mound for the Outlaws tonight. He gets a strikeout in the first inning, settled in right away. Got another one in the second. Former Pitt State Gorilla and MIAA pitcher of the year, had a short night though. Only pitched 2 innings, but he struck out 5 in those 2 innings. In the second frame, Jeff City gets on the board as Nate McHugh crushes a ball into the gap. That would be an RBI double, and it put the Renegades on top 1-0. We'll go ahead to the third inning though. Jason Lazo at the plate. He goes opposite field. That's going to find some grass. Colton Reynolds is going to come around to score. It's an RBI single, and it ties the game up 1 apiece. We go ahead further. Outlaws really starting to get into a groove. Tie game when Caden Bressler hits this one in left field. Will Kelly comes in to score. It's another RBI single. Outlaws go up 3-2. They pour it on from that point forward though. Joplin cruises, leading Jeff City big for the second night in a row. It's 9-4 in the 8th inning.
Wow. We'll be right back. It's a fish unlike any you've probably seen before, and it's helping scientists gather information that could help save the oceans and the organisms that call them home, especially as researchers say ocean ecosystems remain under attack from climate change, plastic pollution, and overfishing. Fox News' Gary Baumgarten dives in to give us a closer look.
An autonomous robotic fish armed with artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the way scientists study and protect vulnerable ocean ecosystems. Meet Bell, designed by engineers at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. This robot is busy roaming around coral reefs, recording video of the creatures that call them home and collecting vital environmental DNA samples.
A filter that captures fine particles like larvae, piece of algae, and so on. And these can be sent into a laboratory, and then you can extract DNA from certain species.
Because Bell looks and acts like a fish, the robot can gather data without scaring animals away. And unlike many standard underwater craft used to monitor ocean life, Bell moves silently with a special fin instead of propellers, which can damage corals.
A soft silicone fin with 2 cavities, and these cavities are filled and emptied with water through a pump system, and that moves the fin back and forth.
AI technology helps keep Bell from bumping into objects. It can collect DNA for 2 hours before its filter needs to be emptied.
It swims to the surface, sends us a GPS signal, and then we go and pick it up again.
Bell measures roughly 3 feet long and weighs about 22 pounds. At the moment, researchers say Bell is big enough where it's not at risk of being eaten by some ocean predators. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
Coming up, we're going to take a look at the new slate of games Nintendo is dropping this week. Gaming giant Nintendo hosted their semi-annual Nintendo Direct event this week, unveiling a new slate of games that could seem familiar to some older players, including a new Mario. Fox's Eamon Dingman has more on this edition of our Fox on Game series.
Nintendo pulled out all the stops to make fans happy during their June preview event, Nintendo Direct. The gaming giant going back to one of its classics, Mario. Super Mario Bros. Wonder will bring our favorite plumber, Luigi, Toad, and Princesses Peach and Daisy to fight against King Bowser and a slew of new enemies. New power-ups shown in the trailer include a Wonder Flower that makes the world literally come alive, as well as an elephant costume for our heroes. But that wasn't the only big announcement. You'll control a tough-talking yellow electric mouse with a new case to solve in Detective Pikachu Returns. And the game Everybody 1-2 Switch is redefining the Nintendo Switch console yet again. The new exercise party game by Nintendo will be able to host up to 100 players in a room using Nintendo Joy-Cons or controllers and personal smart devices. A variety of games are available, including a quiz show that allows players to create custom quizzes. But some games are way more physical, like a large ninja fight. So make sure if you get the game, you have some space to play it. Also announced content for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You can check out the Fox on Tech podcast to hear this story and more every weekend. In New York, Eamon Dignam, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of animals at the London Zoo enjoying some rainbow ices. Be careful out there, stay cool, and let's make it a great weekend.